So I've been fantasizing about starting a mini-series within the Half Car channel profiling various secret societies. Why, you might ask? What does it have to do with traveling? Nothing, but that's my shit. And as luck would have it, in addition to all the fun Palo Alto things from our Donkey Bits video, we also bopped into the Rosicrucian Museum and the Winchester Mystery House. So first off, it seems to me like a secret society would be one that no one's ever heard of. You know, because it's a secret. Shouldn't we refer to these groups as secretive societies? Whatever, not important. The year is 1623. One April morning, Parisians, is that how you say it? People from Paris, in France. They wake up to discover a mysterious message affixed to a number of buildings within the city. How many of these placards were put up and what exactly they said, I haven't found out, but historians seem to agree that this created a stirring of rumors throughout France, which was likely the aim of those esoteric rascals known as the Rosicrucians. Their origin story, as I understand it so far, starts with a young high school kid on a field trip bitten by a radioactive spider in a... Oh wait, no, sorry. It starts with a dude who may or may not have actually existed and was maybe born in Germany in the year 1378. He was a doctor mentioned in one of the Rosicrucian manifestos as Frater CRC, though later referred to by the allegorical title Christian Rosenkreuz. Roughly translated, Rosenkreuz could be German for Rose Cross or Rosy Cross. It's said that he started down the path of mysticism after traveling and studying in the Middle East, giving Rosicrucianism possible ties to Islamic mystics called Sufis and to the Zoroastrian belief structure. There are supposedly also obvious references to Kabbalah and Hermeticism and, of course, Christianity. In a book I'm reading now, which ties into the next topic of this video, Sarah Winchester, it links the Rosicrucians with the Knights Templar. In fact, if you really want to dig deep, I read that Rosicrucians claim their origins way back in the Egyptian dynastic period, with the formation of the so-called mystery schools in, the 1300s BC. The more we look into various secret societies, the more I think we're going to find that most of them are really offshoots of each other, and they're almost all connected in one way or the other, and can trace at least some of their ideas to the long, long ago. I don't know if the beliefs held by members of the Order of the Rose Cross today really reflect ones held by people over 3,000 years ago that much, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me. It's believed the name Rosicrucian originated when the aforementioned Christian Rosenkreuz, remember, not his real name, established a secret order in Germany in 1407. There were only 8 members, all of them doctors who pledged to remain unmarried, help to heal people for free, to maintain the secrets of the order, and to find their own replacement before death. I guess it went on like that for several generations until about the early 1600s when people started publishing manifestos with information on the group. Just like Fight Club, people can never keep their mouths shut. Or maybe these keepers of secrets ancient decided the time was ripe to share their knowledge with the greater public. One faction of the Rosicrucians contends that the spirits who guide our evolution only impart knowledge we are ready to handle. So what else do Rosicrucians believe? I've been having a hard time pinning that down, actually. Partly due to the whole secrecy thing, and partly because I'm not sure where all these internet articles and YouTube videos and books are getting their information. There is at least one sub-faction I've come across already called the Rosicrucian Fellowship, founded by Max Heindel in the early 1900s. He's a pretty good reference because his book, Rosicrucian Mysteries, is available for free in audiobook form. But when he says he located the fellowship headquarters in Oceanside, California because of the large amounts of ether in the atmosphere, I'm not sure what the greater body of the Order of the Rose Cross would say about that. Or what the hell ether is. Probably not the stuff they were talking about in Fear and Loathing. Also, anybody remember Cider House Rules? Or what about when Heindel says that as physical things are made of matter, so too are thoughts made of a non-physical raw material he calls mind stuff? Or that reincarnation is real, John the Baptist said so, your spirit forms its own body, and the more skilled it is at this, the more healthy and attractive your body will be. He also said that the, quote, savages in some foreign lands are less spiritually developed and aren't as adept at crafting their bodies, which is why they all look the same. So, no matter how ancient and highfalutin his teachings might have been, this guy was still clearly subject to the racist cultural notions of the early 1900s. One thing allegedly said by Rosicrucians when their album dropped in the 1600s is that simple curiosity is not enough. If you are truly well-meaning and worthy of spiritual advancement and ready for spiritual advancement, your thoughts will lead you to the order and them to you. Heindel seemed to have had a more pragmatic approach. He said you can send away for curriculum and get started on their teachings, and while a small consideration is requested to cover the cost of materials, everyone should have access to higher knowledge, and those who could pay would bear the price of those who could not. Like welfare for your soul. He did impress me by saying that no monies would ever be demanded by true Rosicrucians, and those flaunting their title within the order or seeking to further themselves personally were charlatans and not true practitioners. Allegedly, the name Rosicrucian refers to the Rosy Cross, which is an amalgamation, some say, to represent Western occult philosophy combined with Christianity, though of course I said that it's claimed the order actually predates Christianity by thousands of years, and others claim the cross represents the body and the rose represents the soul. It's said that the Georgia Guidestones were constructed in secret by request of Rosicrucians. Hopefully someday Halfcar makes it down there and I can do a feature on them. One place we did make it was to the headquarters of the largest, and according to them, original Rosicrucian organization, the ancient mystical order Rosicrucis? I don't know how you say it. Or Amorc. We'll just call them that. They have a nifty garden outside their headquarters and a swellerific Egyptian museum inside. I'm going to have to do a whole separate video explaining the ties between Rosicrucians, William Shakespeare, and Francis Bacon, and Freemasons. But for now, let's do a quick recap of what I think I know about Rosicrucianism. Officially founded in 1407 in Germany, it would appear they believe in reincarnation with various manifestations of an individual, a necessary part of spiritual growth, some say culminating in a final level of wisdom, negating the need for further incarnation, resulting in a bodily state of perpetual spirit. Not unlike some Eastern religions. And I guess they think that the physical world is a manifestation of God's thoughts. They appear to be altruistic, for the most part, making them one of the less creepy secret societies that we're going to cover. In fact, Heindel claims this phrase is a sort of motto. There is an entire significant portion of the Egyptian museum dedicated to alchemy. According to one video I watched, and the general vibe of the museum itself, they were interested in both the spiritual alchemy of becoming a better person and the physical alchemy of understanding matter and the universe. The Egyptian theme seems no coincidence, so safe to say they do claim ties to some very old religious ideas. As usual, I'm not going to show you guys a bunch of pictures inside someone's paid museum, but here is at least one from the alchemy section that I thought was pretty far out. So their ostensible agenda, and let's take a look at that word as it's kind of important. Ostensible means on the surface, or the apparent meaning of something, but not necessarily the whole explanation. For instance, ostensibly I went to Starbucks for a coffee, but really I wanted to use their Wi-Fi and take a piss. We need to keep in mind that with all of these secretive societies, that what JimBob'sConspiracyTidbits.net webpage says is going on might not be the whole story. So, the Rosicrucians' ostensible agenda is the perpetuation of ancient wisdom, furtherment of occult teachings, and betterment of mankind through those teachings. That's all I can think of for now about them, but there is so much more to read and cover, and it's so convoluted. Like Nazi UFOs in Antarctica convoluted. It's like opening Pandora's box and finding a can of worms inside. But let's put a pin in that for the time being. On we go to the Winchester Mystery House. First, the official background story that the people running the business want you to believe. The short version is that back in the day, this broad from New Haven, Connecticut, Sarah Pardee, married the son of the man who owned the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, or whatever the hell it was called. They made guns, and they were fabulously wealthy. In 1866, the couple had a daughter who died in less than a month from a disease I'm not really familiar with. 14 years later, the husband's pappy croaked, and William Winchester inherited his massive fortune. And about a year after that, William himself died of tuberculosis, leaving Sarah a widow and heiress to the fortune with an income that at one point reached what would today equate to about $23,000 every day. Wow. Needless to say, she went a little nuts after 2/3 of her small family unexpectedly died, and I guess at some point she consulted a medium who explained that the spirits of the people killed by Winchester rifles were haunting her and advised she go west and build a crazy house. Oh, and the medium claimed to be channeling her dead husband. So, as any of us would do, she said that makes sense, and moved to what is now Palo Alto, California, bought a farmhouse, and began renovating. The rumor is that construction on the house never stopped once for 38 years straight. But like so many other things about this story, there's a lot of doubt surrounding that fact. Quick aside, I read on one website that when the Mystery House first opened as a tourist venue, guides were encouraged to make up nutty about Sarah Winchester to sensationalize the story. For whatever reason, the idea took off and the house is open for tours to this day. The half-car crew indulged themselves with a visit, and let me tell you, that place is indeed quite wacky. People say Sarah was obsessed with the number 13, which is reflected in certain elements of the building. Also, to confuse the ghosts that tormented her, she had doors that open into walls and a staircase that doesn't go anywhere. It just butts up against the ceiling. Also, they say she slept in a different bed every night. The house kept getting bigger and more elaborate, and prior to the 1906 earthquake, it was 7 stories high. But after the quake damage, it was reduced to 4 stories, and large parts of it were sealed off, never to be repaired. By always building and adding new bizarre features, she was able to either placate the ghosts or confuse them enough to keep them off her back, and she wound up with a large, confusing architectural mess of a mansion that is beloved by thousands and registered as a historic landmark. Now let me tell you the other side of the story. Haunting enthusiasts will happily serve you the prior explanation and encourage the attendance of late-night flashlight ghost tours offered by the company that manages the property, but followers of the occult will insist that more than a gaudy tourist trap, the mansion actually serves as a testament to Sarah Winchester's ties to esoteric philosophy. Exhibit A is Sarah's well-known precocious intelligence. She was well-versed in foreign tongues, music, and classical works of literature, earning her the title the Belle of New Haven. Granted, even before marrying William, she sprang from a rich family, and they tend to educate their children a little more than your average bootlicker, but still, Belle of New Haven. On top of that, she attended Yale College's only academic program for women, of which 2 prominent faculty members happened to be Rosicrucians. Yale, by the way, is allegedly a hotbed of secret societies and home to the spooky and mysterious Skull and Bones Club. We'll go over that at some point. So, Sarah had those elements in her childhood. Sprinkle in a few Freemason uncles and cousins, again not surprising for people with money and connections, and we start to see that from her earliest years, Sarah had vague connections to the realm of secret societies. Remember earlier I mentioned a connection between Francis Bacon and Shakespeare? Well, one of Sarah Winchester's schoolmate's father's sisters is actually heavily connected to that controversy. But that's a topic for another time. After her husband died, Sarah actually spent 3 years in Europe before heading to California. I haven't yet found any record of where she went or what she did, but of course many of the Masonic and Rosicrucian ideas and ideals that may have been incubating in her mind originated over in that part of the world. When she got back, she settled in Cali, either because that's what the medium told her to do to appease the restless spirits that haunted her, or because she had family in the area. Notably, one Enoch Pardee and his son George, who were Knights Templar Freemasons and members of the Bohemian Club, another spooky secret group with ties to the Skull and Bones Club. If you saw our San Fran video, you might remember we stopped by the headquarters of the Bohemian Club. Of course, Palo Alto just happens to be where the largest organization of Rosicrucians built their headquarters in 1928. Whether that's because the area was or ended up becoming a hub of occult activity, and what that could have to do with Sarah Winchester, I'm not 100% sure. But it's quite a coincidence, right? Opponents of the esoteric explanation of the Mystery House would insist that not only the number 13, but 11 and 7, all prime numbers significant to Freemasons, are scattered throughout the home in window panes and chandeliers. They would say the stairs to nowhere have a deeper meaning. In fact, there's a similar construction found in Rosalind Chapel in Scotland. The skylights all over the place, rooms within rooms, little doors that lead to big spaces and big doors that lead to little spaces, were all part of a complicated series of clues and references to ancient knowledge and symbols. Even the perpetual building is said to reflect God's eternal construction of the universe. I'm not really sure what to make of all this nutty shit. There's a lot of mind-boggling information to uncover on the interweb about secret societies, and already we've seen how seemingly non-related people and organizations you're likely familiar with have been tied together by the invisible strings of conspiracy. Anyway, if you're in the Bay Area, check out the Winchester House. It's cool. And definitely go to the Rosicrucian Museum. It's too much, man. Okay, I'm out of here. Subscribe!